You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's Awkward After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Awkward After Show.
Oh, applause. Thank you.
I live for the applause.
Hello, everyone. It's AfterBuzz TV's Awkward After Show. I'm Tiana Hobson, and joining me tonight, I have the lovely Jason Eichler.
Here I am.
And sorry about it, but Jason is going to explain where Christina is tonight.
Christina went on an ecstasy binge last night, and so unfortunately, she couldn't make it into the studio today. She's still recovering. We miss you, Christina. Get well soon.
We miss you, and our prayers are with you and your family at this time.
Yeah, help.
It's season 3, episode 15 and 16, special hour-long episode of Awkward. A very special episode of Awkward. That's the name of the episode, and Less Than Hero. So let's get into it. Let's get into this
Ass video. Woo!
You just had to say it first, didn't
I know.
you? You just couldn't let me say it.
Any opportunity I get to sin, I take.
Okay, I'll let you have that one. I won't say what I was going to say. So we start the episode off, and Jenna and Colin are making out in the sanctuary where all the lowlifes and losers hang out and potheads. And since they're totally part of the pothead crew.
Well, it's kind of funny because we've seen Jenna go on this journey from loser to cool kid, now back to loser almost, because she has nowhere she can be in school with her boyfriend.
But she's kind of a cool loser because, you know, she's more of a pothead loser, where before
that's true.
She was a no-name loser. Like, no one who knew
It's cool. It's cool to do drugs.
I'm not saying that, but maybe. So anyway, I love the whole scene here because, you know, she can't go anywhere else with her friends. And in her little voiceover, she's talking about how her and Colin have been with each other for a while now, and they don't need to DTR because that's just for the lamos. And when she said that, I turned to Jason and I go, foreshadow.
It's interesting because I think maybe in her mind she's thinking like, I just got out of this other relationship, and even though she's so far up Colin's butt, she's probably like, I shouldn't be in another relationship right away, and that's why she's not even talking to him about it. Mm-hmm. But I wonder if she's secretly scared that he, which we find out later in the second episode, doesn't want to be exclusively with her. And I think she probably subconsciously knows that.
Right now she's trying to be what she thinks he wants her to be. And so she's trying to be, you know, the cool girl who's down for anything, down to try all these new things and be a pothead. And it's not really Jenna. She's just acting out and rebelling. And eventually it will come back and bite her in the butt.
And the thing for me is, I don't think the thing she's actually doing, like the pot and the Adderall, I mean, I'm not saying they're good things, but I'm saying a lot of kids experiment with those things. It's a normal thing. I think it's the way she's treating her friends and the way she's treating her family that's bad.
I also don't think that 16-year-olds should be experimenting.
No, I know, but
in this way. If she was in college, it's something different.
That were doing that.
Yeah, they were always the screw-ups.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. So, I mean, she's a 16-year-old who's doing all these bad things. People have a right to be, you know, concerned about her and all that stuff. So we get into Mr. Hart's class, and he starts telling them about Experior, the magazine that is going to be published this semester, and how all of them have to do an essay to submit, and the theme is heroes and villains. But before we can get really into that, Val barges into the classroom, and it's like, hey, I want to win this video contest, and if the winner gets a nurse for a month,
because she doesn't want to lose her job.
Yeah, she's trying to stay relevant. You know, that's what a lot of teachers do. I know I have a lot of friends who are teachers at high schools, and you know, not only do they teach English, but they are the cheer coach and the track coach and all these other little stipend positions, because, you know, if you make yourself necessary, then the chances of you getting laid off are lower, which is a horrible thing. And it sucks that that's happening in California to our teachers.
We're getting really deep.
I mean, just a side note, they are shaping the future of America. Just saying. So she convinces Mr. Hart to let her steal the class to write and produce this video, an ass, if you will, an after school special, which I don't know if you remember these and how corny they used to be. Oh my! I
don't think I've ever actually seen one. This is the first after school special I've ever watched.
Oh my gosh.
But I thought it was amazing.
After school specials are amazing. And
what are we going to do about Jenny?
What are we going to do about Jenny? Of course, Sadie comes up with the whole idea. And it's basically Jenna's story.
Well, and I feel like what I love the most about Sadie is that she's just brutally mean.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious. And I love that normally Sadie would be like, school project, not for me, stupid. But I can take this and make a video to traumatize Jenna.
To embarrass her a little
bit
more.
Ding. And I think it's so funny when she's playing her because it's so accurate.
It is accurate with the side pony and everything, the side braid. Jenna gets out of this by telling Val that her mom threw out her back. And of course, Val
thinks it's because of sex.
It's because of sex. She lists some sex positions that it possibly was.
Okay.
The pile driver.
Wait, what is the... Are we going to talk about what these mean?
Okay, well, I looked them up, and two of them I don't feel comfortable with sharing.
Which one? I'll Google it.
It's the pile driver and the backwards jellyfish. The dirty Santa Claus I had also never heard of before. I've heard of a dirty Sanchez. No, I mean, the only thing on the dirty Santa Claus I could find, where is my notes?
Wait, what is it called? The jellyfish?
The jellyfish, and then you have to just imagine it backwards. But the dirty Santa Claus, I found on Urban Dictionary, it's a dirty Santa Claus seat warmer. And that's when one person sits on another person's lap while on a toilet and defecates through their legs and tells them what they want for Christmas, which is just disgusting and quite disturbing. All at the same time, Jason's not even listening to me right now.
Because the jellyfish is a difficult version of the bookends position. The man and woman together do a rocking motion to gain movement during penetration.
So you learn something new on awkward every time.
Every time. What's the other one? Do we want to know, or should we move on?
I think people can look that up on their own. The pile driver was what she said. So what I love about Val is that everything she does has a purpose. She has her 6 steps to an ass video, which she only made it to explaining one of them, but I wrote them all down. Number 1, establish a problem for the main character. Number 2, her friends are bamboozled. Step 3, the jolly moment. Step 4, the tragic event. Step 5, the subject hits rock bottom. And number 6, help arrives.
I love how nobody in the class got it. And then she's like, it's like a teen Lifetime movie. And they're like, oh.
Oh, now I get it. So, yeah, and then she gets Tamara, Ming, and Jake involved because they're all concerned about Jenna and how are we going to help Jenna. So she casts them in her movie. And the whole time this is going on, Val does not realize that any of this is about Jenna.
Which I was actually surprised because she's so intuitive into what's going on with all the high school drama and all the kids. And I thought for sure she would be like, oh, this is about Jenna, let's go with it. Like, I didn't think she would shut it down.
Yeah.
But it was kind of funny. Like, it was at the very end when she realized.
When it clicks in her head.
Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ding. It's about my girl, Jenna.
So then they make Jenna get involved, though, because
her mom finds out.
I know she's harping on herself this season for being a bad parent, but she's actually kind of putting her foot down a lot.
She is. She's doing a great job, I think. She finds out that Jenna was lying to Val about things. So she drags her down to the school and makes her participate, tells Val, like, oh, yeah, I made a miraculous recovery. She's all yours. And that's when Jenna finds out that they're making a thing about her. And they have this huge blowout on camera where they're improvising the scene.
That's what Val thinks. And I love that it makes it into the final cut of the episode too, which makes no sense because the fake Jenny is having this breakdown. And then at the same time, the real Jenna is supposed to be intervening with Jenny. but she's having a breakdown.
Yeah, and she's like, I don't think you need us to be worried about you at all. You're doing fine, and maybe it's none of our business what you're doing. And you're just like, oh, Jenna, if you could just hear yourself.
Do you know what's
talk.
weird though? Because I know everybody's been blaming Colin for her downward spiral, but I don't think Colin's changed any. I think Colin's being who he is, and I think she is not a strong enough person.
I think she's shaping herself to her boyfriend, which isn't to say it's his fault, but he's also allowing it to happen. And I don't think that we knew that Colin was this much of a bad boy.
No, we didn't.
At first.
I don't think the writers knew.
Yeah,
I'm assuming when they were doing the writing, like Jenna, they knew they wanted Jenna to take a turn for the worse, and she was going to be with Colin. And so then, because they kind of built Colin up to be this perfect dream guy who's really smart and witty, and now he's got kind of this like edgier sexual side.
Yeah, I'm sexual. I
do
experiment
drugs.
with drugs, and I'm so.
But I don't think I don't think he's led her on in any way. I think she's naive.
Yeah, but I also think that I don't know if it's a character choice I don't know who's to blame for this, because we didn't see this side of Colin ever. It could have been a side of himself that he wasn't really sharing with Jenna until they got into the relationship.
But at the same time, he's telling her, hey, your essay is cruel. Yes, it's also beautifully written, but it's cruel. And I think because she was sneaking around with him in the first place.
Yeah, so he was over at her house until 3 a.m.
So I wonder if this is who he always thought she was, this crazy party girl, and she's really not. I don't know.
He's giving her caffeine pills or like Adderall to give her energy, and he's sneaking over. He knows that she's grounded. He's encouraging her to leave the house. And
but that's normal.
I mean, it's normal, but also it's normal to just be like, yeah, it sucks that you're grounded, but like.
But at the same time, it's not like she's ever listened to her. I blame her for everything.
I don't blame her. Wait, I don't blame him for everything, but I think they're both at fault.
But he's not doing anything. He's not the one that's grounded. He's not, you know what I mean?
He should be. We're his parents.
I don't know.
He should be grounded. He should be on the same level.
He's okay.
I mean, let's talk about the fact that she ran out after the big fight on camera to go light up at school.
No. I think she's an idiot.
At the school, in the hallway, Matty is walking by.
I love that Matty caught her, too.
Yeah, if she hadn't have been such an asshole to Matty in the first place, when she's like, what, are you going to lecture me too?
Yeah.
He would have warned her, hey, Val's behind you. Instead, he chuckles and goes, no, walks away, and Val walks up and is like, you're suspended. And then Jenna gets all mad at Val and takes it out on Val in a very mean way by writing that whole story about her. And this takes us into the next episode that we got to see, where
less than hero
because
spit all over him.
Well, say it, don't spray it, baby.
Spray.
Where Mr. Hart reads her paper and it's like, hey, this is cruel. And for Mr. Hart to tell you that something's cruel and that words do hurt.
I thought we were gonna have a Mean Girls moment.
Like the burn book?
Yeah. Like the teacher's going to get fired and all these secrets are going to come out. Didn't it seem like it was leading up to that?
Yeah, I mean, it still could.
Actually, this is kind of what's happening. Awkward is paralleling Mean Girls.
Is Jenna...
Jenna's Lindsay Lohan.
Is she Lindsay Lohan or is she Regina George?
I think she's Lindsay Lohan.
Okay.
Because even think about how look at how
catty?
she's dressed. Yeah, she's catty. Because look at how she's dressed when she's about to go out.
Like a slut.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. At 16, I wasn't allowed to just tell my parents I was leaving the house.
Well, that's what I was shocked.
And to dress in hot
but
shorts.
Also,
like that.
in her defense, because I feel like we should stick up for her at least once. Her parents have never had a problem with her going out and doing whatever she wants.
She's never been.
And whenever they've grounded her, it's always ended. Or so like she knows she can get away with it.
But she's never been a bad child before either.
No.
She's always been on the right path. Like when I was growing up, my parents didn't set a lot of rules or curfews or anything like that for me because they trusted me to be responsible. As soon as I would have, taken advantage of that, they would have laid down the law, and then I would have had all these rules, and I would have stayed within those parameters. Because
and I think the difference is too, like if you're a kid in high school and you're doing things that your parents wouldn't be happy about, you don't wave it in their face.
Yeah.
And that's what she's blatantly doing, like waving in their face. Like, yeah, I smoke pot. Like, do what you got to do, but don't tell your parents about it.
And don't steal their stash.
Yeah.
While you're at it. So then, what else happens? Oh, yeah. So Jenna's talking all this crap about how she wants this paper to still be published, even though Mr. Hart's like, go home, think about it before you make up your mind. And she's like, oh, yeah, I want it to be published. I want it this. And then as soon as she walks out, she runs into Val and can't even look her in the eye. Looks her in the eye for like 3 seconds and then is just like trying to avoid her. Val's like, hey, can we squash all this beef between us because I love you. You're my girl still. Val's such a nice person because Jenna basically said, you're horrible at your job. You're not my friend. You cross many boundaries, which she does.
Yeah.
But
I want to read the paper.
Well, I think you might get to.
Okay.
Hear it at least.
Because I bet she says, because she's done some illegal sort of shady things. That's why I thought she was going to lose her job.
I mean, she still could, because in it, Mr. Hart mentioned something about, oh, she had you touch her boob. And Jenna's like, yeah, she thought she had a lump. And she listed her as her emergency contact number and, just all these things. But it also kind of goes along with the ground of Val being friends with her mom. Mm-hmm. Even though that friendship didn't develop till later. At my school, my parents had friends who were teachers, the principal, everyone. So if I got called in the office, sometimes, it was more of I was taught to be more in the lines than other people, because they knew my parents. I had a different kind of relationship with these people than they could have with normal students. But Jenna is just mad and she's an angry teen right now. So Lacey and Val decided to stage an intervention for Jenna. Which
I love that Sadie is at the intervention.
Why is Sadie at the intervention?
Because Lacey said, well, she doesn't have any other friends, and Sadie's the only peer that will be there. And the intervention is so funny because they both panic as soon as Lacey and Val, as soon as Jenna walks in the room, are like on the defense, like, oh, we didn't really want to do this. And then Sadie's just a bitch, and then her new stepmother also.
Auntie Allie.
Auntie Allie.
Yeah, she's there. I love that Sadie drops out her Twitter handle at Your Harsh Truth.
Is that a real Twitter?
I don't know. We should try and find it.
I'm going to look right now.
You look it up. Jenna then, basically calls them all hypocrites because they all have their own problems too and tells them to go F off. And then she decides, because she's angry with everyone in the world, that she's going to go out because she can't stand to be in the house anymore. So she tells Colin to come pick her up for this party. Which is when she gets into this huge argument with her parents. Sorry. And it basically ends with Lacey telling her, if you leave, don't bother coming back. And for me, that was like the realest moment of Lacey's motherhood that we've seen throughout the 3 years of Awkward.
Yes. I agree. Your Harsh Truth is a Twitter. There are no tweets, but it does say Sadie Saxton, and it has 1,600 followers.
Oh, wow. And she hasn't tweeted anything?
No, nothing.
Can I get some of those followers? At least I tweet. Right?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So Jenna goes off to this party where there is Angelique, Colin's ex-girlfriend.
I did not expect her to be there at all.
I didn't either.
But, okay, from this party, obviously they took ecstasy and began to have a threesome. Do you think that Angelique and Colin had that open of a relationship in the past?
Now that I'm learning a new side of Colin, I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
Because, we didn't know any of this about Colin.
Yeah.
But it's really funny, the threesome scene.
Because Jenna's like that, I don't know, not typical, but she's the paranoid person right now because she didn't want to do the ecstasy. So then her mind is fighting the all the reactions that you have to it. Whereas Colin and Angelique are just
she didn't do the ecstasy on purpose.
Yeah.
Because she turned it down. And then she went in the bathroom and Angelique followed her in there and they took shots. And then she's like, oh, I feel bad. There was ecstasy in your shot.
Yeah, so she's fighting it because she didn't want to do it. So now she's paranoid, which means the effects aren't going to be the same. And so Colin and Angelique are all touching, glass thinking it's the best thing ever because sometimes it is. If you've ever done that before, I wouldn't know at all. But so they're getting freaky deaky and Angelique's making out with this old man with that mustache. That was so weird.
That was so gross.
And then this threesome situation kind of
unravels.
Things get a little too intense. So Jenna's like, nope, sorry, I gotta go. And Colin's just like, all right, bye. And then starts making out with Angelique. They just start going at it.
I, in that moment, was like, oh, come on, Colin. But at the same time, he's so drunk and on ecstasy. I'm always going to defend Colin.
You can't really blame him at that point.
Yeah.
But also
Also, he's in the middle of a threesome and then she walks away.
And also, they've never DTR'd. So technically, he's not doing anything wrong at this point because you're not exclusive.
Well, and did she drive there with him? Or did she?
Jenna doesn't drive.
Oh, that's true.
She always has someone come get her. Hence why she needs a ride home. Can't call her mom. Can't call her dad. Can't call any of her friends.
Do you know who I thought was going to show up? Sadie.
No, I always knew it was going to be Matty. It's like, of course she's going to call Matty because Matty is the nicest guy
I think
ever.
Matty's a great guy. But also kind of, I wish he would have more balls because I would be like, you're at a party with your new boyfriend who you cheated on me with? Tough shit. Like, not my problem.
No, because I liked what he said to Sadie earlier that, because she even says, she broke your heart and embarrassed you in front of all these people. And he says, but I know somewhere deep down in there is still my friend. So even regardless of her actions, he still knows that clearly she's going through some things. So he's not really holding it against him. And he's moving on with his life, too, because he does have Devin.
I am happy that he's moving on with Devin. I just think that she's a user. Jenna's a user.
Yeah.
Don't you think? A drug user, a friend user, but I think an ex-boyfriend user. And I think she's totally using him. And she'll go to him when she's having a breakdown, and you don't get to do that anymore because you're not dating him. And it's almost if I was his new girlfriend, I'd be pissed off about it.
I don't know. Kind of like Devin said in an earlier episode, it's kind of cute that he still cares because that means he's a good guy. Because at the end of the day, whether your relationship works or not, I think at the end, everyone wants to believe that you can still be friends afterwards. And Maddie's actually trying to be the good person and the friend after the breakup. But I think how many times,
like, he's given her so many opportunities and she's such a bitch to him until it's like end of the road. But
it looks like next week, maybe this did work a little bit to finally get her to start snapping out of it.
See, I think she's gonna, we'll get that in predictions.
Yeah, let's talk about Jake and Tamara for a little bit because things have been kind of rocky for them ever since he found out that she knew about Jenna's skank.
And I think I think there's so much going on in their friend's life right now that they're not focusing on that there's actually a problem in between them. Mm-hmm. My issue with this whole drama is that Tamara has been the same person since her and Jake got together. And he's having this, like, you're a control freak breakdown. Well, that's who she is. You've been together for how long and you're just now getting upset about that? Like, if you're okay with that in the beginning, you can't expect her to change a year down the road.
Now, this is the relationship that I agree with that statement about. Because Tamara has always been this controlling, just like you said. So this one I agree with you on. I'm glad we can agree. About time Jason said something right. Morally and just in
I'm just
life.
Honest.
You're just wrong.
Doubtful.
So yeah, I totally get it. I mean, he has this campaign. He's Jake Rosati. He doesn't have to campaign to win for class president. She's putting super cool and just always wins because it's a popularity contest.
He said to her, like, I didn't ask you to do all this. She's doing it because she's trying to be nice and helpful. And yes, I'm sure there's part of it that she wants to have the girl who has her boyfriend running for president be the popular girl. But she's doing this nice thing, and I think he's kind of being a jackass.
He is. I mean, I knew a lot of guys in high school who would beg girls to make the campaign posters for them because we're just better at it. I mean, I didn't have a room full of arts and crafts like Tamara does and puffy paint, but when it comes down to making a good poster, I can get creative and make something pretty.
That's good to know.
Yeah, it's good to know in case you ever run for president, right?
Yeah.
Jason Eichler 2022. I don't even know if that's an election year.
I think it might not be.
I don't think it is. I think it would be 2024. Anyways, so they're at this crossroads. Tamara decides that she's running for class president against Jake.
I kind of love that, though.
I kind of love it, and I kind of think she might win, which would make him even more mad.
Or if he wins, I think it's going to really upset her. I think this is going to be the thing that breaks them up. Mm-hmm. And then, should we get into predictions?
We'll have news and gossip before we do that.
Okay.
Or do you want to do predictions
Let's do
first?
predictions first.
Phil, we're going to predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So I think that the election will break Tamara and him up. And then that will be when her and Jenna finally become friends again, because they're both all alone. And then they're finally like, all we have is each other.
Okay. Well, I think that next episode, we see that Jenna's kind of trying to make an amends for her wrongdoings. But then this article about Val gets released. And so I like where you were going with, because that's what I was thinking too, that what Jenna wrote in there is a lot of truths.
Yeah.
So it might not look so good for Val when it comes down to things. So she might get fired or suspended or something.
And then that's going to make more drama for Jenna and Lacey, because Lacey and Val are friends.
Yeah. Will Jenna go inside her house because her parents said don't come back? And then Matty drops her off and leaves her in front of her house. So I also think that her parents should get that back door padlocked, because Jenna is supposed to be grounded and all these things, but she still has boys coming in and out.
Like
literally. She could be running a service out there and her parents would have no idea. So
well, then that she's suspended, she needs a way to make money.
Yeah, well, they need to get some chains and some padlocks and lock that sucker up. No, close for business. No more sluttiness from Jenna. So those are predictions. Let's talk about a little news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So Ashley Rickards, who plays Jenna, did a interview with therap.com, and she answers a couple questions. It's pretty good. You guys should check it out. It's therap.com. Talks with Jenna. She talks about, that's what the article's called.
It's really clever.
I know. They ask her how Jenna handles her first meeting with Matty's new girl, and she tells a story about her first meeting with the girl who plays Matty's girlfriend, Devin. She says, I'll answer that with a story. I met her in the makeup trailer and thought, damn, she's pretty. I hate her. And then when I ended up talking to her, she was so nice. So when I did this scene, I ended up drawing on that. I'm very territorial with the boys. They're like my brothers, and I feel a little weird bringing another girl into the mix. She's gorgeous. She's hilarious. So, of course, I was a little jealous. It's very similar to the scene in which Jenna meets Devin for the first time.
I love how honest she is with that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really like other girls.
Yeah. You know, she was pretty, so I just labeled her as, I'm not going to like her. That's kind of fun.
Everyone does that.
And then she talks about how they have the new showrunners in, and how they met for dinner and it lasted like 5 hours, and that they're kind of letting her know a little bit more about where things are going with the storyline, as opposed to in the past how things have worked. So that's kind of fun. It's kind of a fun read. And then good news, season 4 of Awkward, which hasn't even started production yet, by the way, has already been picked up for the 10 more episodes. So season 4 will have 20 episodes total. I'm assuming they'll do it how they did it this season, with half in the summer and then half coming back.
Well, they do it like most TV shows, except for they start their new season in January as opposed to August.
June.
Oh, wait. They're starting it in June?
Yeah.
Oh, June, and then we take it. It's weird.
Yeah.
They're weird timing.
Yeah, you're completely off.
I thought we came back in January.
No, we're done in December, and then we're off until, well, they haven't announced the new date, but this season started in June or July of this year. So yeah, it's usually a summer show, and then it's off for a few, and then back in the fall. So that is your news and gossip. Let us know what you guys think about the show. Is Jenna a good girl or a bad girl? Are you team Colin or team Matty? And what else? Colin, Matty. Jason, where can they find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jason Eichler.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at the Tiana Hobson, and you can find AfterBuzz all over the internet at AfterBuzz TV. Christina, we still miss you, and I hope that your ecstasy problem gets under control.
Praying for Christina.
Praying for Christina.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
You're welcome.
I'll see you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.